What did you think of that story? Though Yang Shu and the others had no idea why Chen Xiao had suddenly launched into a narrative, they found themselves utterly captivated by its content. On the whole, the story offered a certain grim satisfaction. The beast of a father met his punishment. The kind mother, too, avoided severe retribution. It perfectly illustrated the human element, the compassion, that can exist within the law. It allowed people to feel that the law wasn't just cold statutes, but possessed a measure of warmth. But what about the little girl? It's as if everyone has forgotten her. Isn't that peculiar? Simply because she was young. Under those circumstances, perhaps her actions weren't intentional. Indeed, she might not have acted with deliberate intent. Officer Yang, I have a question. You. Police officers must have encountered many murderers in your time. I'd like to ask, have you ever questioned them about it? What does it actually feel like to kill someone? Is there a particular thrill to it? Can it become addictive? What are you trying to imply? Setting aside the inherent rights and wrongs of the event, the man was killed by the little girl. She killed that monstrous father and subsequently lived a peaceful, stable life. And that kind of life was precisely what she had always yearned for in her dreams. Let me rephrase, and perhaps you'll grasp my meaning more clearly. Let's not concern ourselves for the moment with whether her actions were intentional or unintentional. Let's focus solely on the outcome. And what was that outcome? The outcome was this. By killing a person, she obtained the very thing she had always craved, and critically, she faced no punishment. So, when she grew older, wouldn't she be tempted to employ the same method again to acquire whatever else she desired? At this, I paused, my thoughts turning to the original occupant of this body. I believe she would, because for certain individuals, the power to control another's life holds an almost irresistible allure. Yang Shu offered no immediate comment on Chen Xiao's unsettling hypothesis. Instead, he took out his phone and placed a call to his mentor. He carefully inquired about Tang, Youyou's background. He surmised that Chen Xiao was referring to Tang Youyou herself. After hearing his mentor's response, his conviction deepened. Then he quickly instructed his colleagues to conduct a thorough search of the immediate vicinity. It wasn't long before a colleague reported back. They'd discovered a large area of bloodstains nearby. Upon hearing this news, he made a call to dispatch a forensics team to process the scene. Then he walked over to stand before Chen Xiao. "You'll have to come with me." I nodded. This was precisely the outcome I had been aiming for. Although this would undoubtedly intensify their suspicion of me, the authorities couldn't do much without concrete evidence against me. I'm Hu Yang. I'm assisting Officer Chen with this case. Chen Xiao. I know of you. Officer Chen has mentioned you, and you must also be aware that we suspect you. I nodded again. I harbored suspicions from the moment Yu Tongtong first approached me, and when Yang Shu arrived, my certainty solidified. I see your occupation is listed as preparing animal specimens. What's that line of work like? Care to elaborate? I'm somewhat curious. No. Officer. Who? We're all quite busy. Shall we get straight to the point? Very well, if you insist. Then let's cut directly to the chase. How did you know that was the crime scene? I wasn't entirely certain it was the crime scene. It was based on information I'd gathered and some deductions I subsequently made. Why didn't you report it to the police? It was merely a supposition. Was I supposed to call the police and declare, I've deduced the location of the crime scene. You should hurry over there? If I had said that, would you have believed me? If it were you saying it, I would have. That's rather unfortunate, then. Had I known, I would have simply called and informed. You directly, no matter. It's not too late now. I'd like to hear about these deductions of yours. What was your theory? I first described the process of my own discoveries, then continued, Tang Youyou's childhood. We're all aware of the details now. At the time, no one, believed she was the one who committed the murder. But then consider this. During her university years, a disappearance occurred at her school. The missing person was a female classmate of hers, from the same class. To this day, the police have never found her. That forms the basis of my suspicion that she has killed before. Furthermore, Xiang has a severe voyeuristic compulsion. It's possible he stumbled upon some incriminating evidence. He might have stumbled upon some evidence and used it to blackmail her. How could Tang Youyou possibly allow that to come to light? So, they arranged to meet at a specific location that day. That would also explain the 2 sets of footprints found at the scene. My guess is that Tang Youyou initially intended to kill Xiang, but ultimately, she failed, and Xiang turned the tables, killing her instead. Setting aside whether your theory is correct or not. For a moment, Xiang is now the killer. Tang Youyou is dead. So what's your objective in bringing all this up? My objective? It's that right now, public opinion online is overwhelmingly sympathetic towards Tang Youyou while vehemently condemning Xiang. Numerous influential personalities have voiced their opinions, their faces masks of righteous indignation as if they themselves were the victims. I don't like it. I dislike it intensely. I want to see their reactions when they learn the truth. When they discover the person they've been sympathizing with is, in fact, also a murderer. What expressions will they wear then? Don't you find that amusing? Hearing my response, the smile vanished from Hu Yang's face. A matter of life and death is merely amusing to you? That's right, Officer Hu. Don't you truly find it amusing? The moment those words left my lips, the atmosphere grew palpably tense. Silence descended upon the interrogation room, thick and absolute. Just a joke, Officer Hu. Don't take it to heart. How could I possibly find something like that amusing as... You said yourself, these are real human lives we're talking about. I was merely trying to cooperate with your investigation. You suspect me of being a serial killer, don't you? So, how was my performance? Did I convincingly portray a serial killer who regards human life as utterly worthless? Did it align with your psychological profile, Chen Xiao? I won't forget this. Are you aware of the serial murder case from 3 years ago? I am. I recall it caused quite a stir back then. People were on edge. Why do you ask? Is it connected to this current case? Actually, yes. There's been talk online to that effect. Some are saying that the killer has returned. We share that suspicion. Oh, in that case, I hope your department can crack the case swiftly. Following that, Hu Yang posed several more questions. After I answered each of them, Hu Yang allowed me to leave. As far as I was concerned, the Tang Youyou affair had reached a temporary conclusion. Next up was the matter of Xiang, but there was no rush for that. I could relax for the time being. The evidence proving Xiang had murdered Tang Youyou was irrefutable. His fingerprints and DNA were on the murder weapon. The bloodstains at the scene were also confirmed to belong to the deceased Tang Youyou. Judging by the footprints, after Xiang committed the murder, he had entered and exited the crime scene multiple times, likely to move the body. Normally, identifying the killer would be considered progress, yet everyone's expressions remained grim, because Xiang was the murderer. And while this evidence conclusively proved he was the murderer, they didn't know if anyone else was involved. Furthermore, 2 bodies had been recovered from the lake. One was a colleague from Tang Youyou's company. The medical examiner had extracted Tang Youyou's DNA from that victim's body. Tang Youyou was, indeed, a perpetrator. Although they were reluctant to admit it, it was undeniably Chen Xiao's deductions that had led to confirming the identities of these 2 victims. Now, a wealth of evidence indicated that Xiang was unequivocally the one who had murdered Tang Youyou, and that Tang Youyou, in turn, was the one who had murdered the other 2 individuals. Let's release the details of these 2 cases to the public first. It'll serve as an update for the public. Our main focus hereafter will be to reopen Case 609. These are all the files pertaining to Case 609. Everyone gets a copy. Study them thoroughly. Memorize every detail. If it is indeed him surfacing again this time, we absolutely cannot let him escape. What are you thinking? I'm wondering, when these criminals kill, do they genuinely feel no remorse whatsoever? Or, as Chen Xiao had suggested, did killing truly offer some kind of sensation? Youyou fell silent, at a loss for words. She wanted to argue, to refute the idea, but Tang Youyou's case loomed large, an undeniable example. It left her with no solid ground for rebuttal. Don't overthink it. People like that are exceptionally rare. We can't take such isolated instances and extrapolate that everyone is the same. You just haven't seen enough of the world. Once you've witnessed more, such doubts won't even arise. These past 2 days, I'd experienced a rare, welcome calm. I was living a monotonous life, a straight line drawn between work and home. I'd expected to detest the work of taxidermy, but perhaps due to the original owner's influence, not only did I not dislike it, I found myself thoroughly enjoying the craft. It possessed a unique kind of beauty, I felt. The apartment building no longer bustled with its former liveliness. Many residents had already moved out. Following the recent incident, the number of security guards patrolling the premises had also increased. It wouldn't be long before new tenants moved in, and those who hadn't left would gradually forget this incident. Perhaps it would even become a topic of conversation over drinks in the future. They'd recount the gruesome details with exaggerated expressions, and then, at the end, let out a perfunctory, feigned sigh. So tragic. Thinking this, I suddenly found myself disliking the prospect. I felt a need to do something. Something to make people remember. How could I make them remember? By continuing to kill, of course. There it was again, that familiar sensation. It filled me with terror, made me tremble. Hello, my name is Tian Hua. I just moved in. From now on, we're neighbors. If you need anything, just let me know. Chen Xiao, a murder just happened here. And you moved in anyway? You're quite bold. I know, but I had no choice. Faced a bit of hardship, and coincidentally, the rent here plummeted. So I moved in. As for the murder, I trust the police will solve it quickly. Well, you must be busy. I'll head back now. Why did I get the feeling that Tian Hua was the same type of person as the original owner? It seemed I was indeed growing rather paranoid these days, though I was reluctant to admit it. Deep down, a part of me hoped that this Tian Hua was the same type as the original owner. A kindred spirit had found me. What did that signify? Only 2 words came to mind: a challenge. At this thought, a sense of eager anticipation stirred within me. Ha ha, I've met him now. To think your son would turn out to be this kind of person. Don't you find it ludicrous? I believe he will return to the right path. A week passed. I sat lazily on a stool, scrolling through videos on my phone. This past week had been surprisingly comfortable. The original owner hadn't influenced me. The diary hadn't been updated. It was as if everything had been nothing more than a dream. During this time, I'd contemplated burning the diary on more than one occasion. I planned to wash my hands of it completely. But every time I resolved to do so, a voice deep inside always stopped me. Just then, the piercing wail of police sirens shattered the quiet. Instinctively, I bolted to my room, pulled out the diary, and flipped to the last page. Finding the page blank, I let out a long, shaky breath. That scared the life out of me. I thought the original owner had slipped out and killed someone again while I was asleep. Now, even more people would likely move out. Should I consider moving out as well? Don't tell me it's the police at the door again. This is truly never-ending. I quickly hid the diary and, fuming, stalked to the front door. Then I wrenched it open. only to find that the visitor wasn't a police officer. Instead, it was my newly arrived neighbor, Tian Hua. Did I disturb you? No. What is it? I saw the police are at our apartment building again. I'm a bit curious. I was thinking of asking you to come take a look with me. Why ask me? Are we that familiar with each other? No. You misunderstand. I just thought you might be curious too. And since I'm also curious and we're neighbors, we could go together. And if there's anything I don't understand, I could ask you. My apologies. That was presumptuous. Of me. I nodded without saying anything, reaching to close the door. Tian Hua put a hand out, stopping it. I just wanted to ask, aren't you curious? If you're curious too, we could go check it out together. I'm not curious. All right then. Sorry to have bothered you. Curious? Original Op Diao Lao Liu, of course. I was curious. But I suspected the reason my life had been so peaceful lately was precisely because I hadn't been engaging with these kinds of things. I was afraid that if I indulged my curiosity and went to look, I might draw out the original owner again. That definitely wouldn't be good. Compared to the prospect of a calm future, this little bit of curiosity was something I could still manage to suppress. Original Diao Lao Liu. His behavior truly caught me, off guard. At noon, I went downstairs to eat. I noticed the police cars were already gone. I overheard a young couple at the next table discussing the case. My initial instinct was to leave. Right now, I genuinely didn't want to hear about these things. But on second thought, it seemed I couldn't really escape it. If it's good fortune, it's not a calamity. If it's a calamity, you can't avoid it. Unless I completely avoided my phone. But wouldn't avoiding my phone be the death of me? Heavens above. Since I'd find out sooner or later anyway, I decided I might as well listen. As the couple discussed it, I got the general gist of what had happened. I pulled out my phone to check. Sure enough, the internet was already flooded with discussions about this new case, and the deceased had, in the past, made many inappropriate remarks. I noticed that under one of her comments, the top-voted reply read, "I really hope that killer comes for you." It seemed, then, that the killer had seen this comment and then acted, killing her. Pathetic. This killer was utterly pathetic. Who did he think he was? Some kind of vigilante dispensing justice? Does one need a reason to kill? Killing is driven by instinct. Just as I resolved not to be curious the moment I learned a tiny bit of information, such strange thoughts began to surface. Truly, one reaps what one sows. My sudden outburst startled the young couple at the adjacent table. "This guy's a psycho. Let's get out of here." The man was right. Right now I did indeed resemble a psychopath. Just finished eating? How utterly impolite. Inside the conference room, silence reigned. Everyone wore grave expressions. Chen Dale's brow was deeply furrowed. In just one short week, his hair had visibly grayed somewhat, because Li Xiang's murder case remained unsolved. This killer was too clean. Many serial killers exhibit a peculiar psychological quirk, which is to collect items from their victims. They treat these as their trophies. But this killer didn't. It was as if he killed purely for the sake of killing, killed and left, with no superfluous actions, no deliberately leaving behind clues to taunt the police, or leaving some unique personal symbol or mark, or doing anything at all near the body. Nothing of the sort. Li Xiang's case was still unsolved, and now another homicide had occurred at the Qibao Apartments. Or doing anything at all near the body. Nothing of the sort. Li Xiang's case was still unsolved, and now another homicide had occurred at the Qibao Apartments. Speak. The deceased is named Li Yan, female, 29 years old, single. She was a sales representative for a pharmaceutical company. Her personality was rather extreme. She frequently posted extremist remarks online. This type of person is often derisively referred to by netizens as a keyboard warrior. The time of death was between 1:00 and 2:00 a.m. this morning. The location of death was her home. The cause of death was multiple blunt force trauma injuries to the head. No murder weapon was found. It's presumed the killer took it. The person who reported it was a colleague from her company, because she saw the deceased had posted a Weibo message. The Weibo post contained a video of the deceased. The content of the video showed the deceased attempting to exonerate the killer, claiming the killer had reasons for their actions, and that these reasons could be understood. Even if one day she herself were to be killed, she would still feel it was justifiable and hoped the killer would not be held accountable. The deceased's colleague knew her personality. She found the video she posted to be exceedingly strange. Coupled with the fact that the deceased didn't show up for work, she reported it. The video has now been taken down, but many people still saw it. It's evident that the killer was right beside her at the time, forcing her to film that video. Any findings at the scene? It will take another 2 days to know. What about the surveillance footage? Haven't they installed cameras in the apartment building now? It's broken. It was damaged 2 days ago. Deliberately damaged and damaged 2 days ago? Hasn't building management addressed it in all this time? Their response was that it's being processed. A broken security camera. Still not fixed after 2 days. Really? Continue. Initially, this case should have been easy to investigate. Because the killer precisely targeted and destroyed the surveillance footage, the approximate scope could have been narrowed down to someone within Qibao Apartments. But that's no longer feasible. Due to the previous incidents, many residents in the apartment building have already moved out. To encourage rapid occupancy, the apartment management has loosened access restrictions. Every day, numerous real estate agents bring people to view apartments. So, do you believe this case is connected to Li Xiang's case? The only connection is that the deceased had commented on Li Xiang's case. Her remarks were extremely inflammatory. At that moment, the shrill ring of a cell phone pierced the air. Chen Dale took out his phone. Seeing the caller ID, a hint of exasperation crossed his face. Yes, I know. Yes, I guarantee I'll complete the mission. You all heard him. Get to work. As I was at home, watching videos related to the case, I received another call from my mother. Just like last time, she was still urging me to move back home. Or, if that wasn't an option, to move out of this apartment. Mother believed. This apartment building was cursed. Too, was beginning to think I should move. After a few perfunctory reassurances, my mother once again pressed me to return. This time, I didn't relent. I used the excuse of being busy with work and refused. After hanging up, I saw someone had mentioned me in the residents' group chat. I clicked on it. I discovered it was Tian Hua mentioning everyone. Why was this person so annoyingly persistent? But when I saw the content, I froze. I found out. The deceased's name is Xiao. Cause of death was multiple blunt force trauma injuries to the head. So tragic. Multiple blunt force trauma injuries to the head. That was remarkably similar to the contents of the diary. Was it a coincidence? Or did someone know the contents of the diary? Although Tian Hua's statement wasn't entirely out of the blue, this act of mentioning everyone was exceedingly strange. It was as if he were deliberately trying to tell me something. If Tian Hua was truly trying to warn me in this way, then how would he know what was written in the diary? Who exactly was he? Tian Hua's actions left me deeply perplexed. And so, I began to recall the contents of the first diary entry.